Call the
Wait,
Schaumburg Village
wait.
Board meeting to order.
One second, Marilyn's got to, okay.
No.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the Schaumburg Village Board meeting to order. I am negative, just for the record. No more jokes. First item is the roll call. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Here.
Trustee Conley.
Here.
Trustee Sullivan.
Here.
Trustee Dunham.
Here.
Trustee Madej.
Here.
Trustee Bishke.
Present.
President Daly.
Present, all present and accounted for. Thank you. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask Trustee Brian Bishke to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brian. Next item is the approval of minutes. We have two sets, November 10th, 2020. Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Did you get that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. We have the November 10th, 2020 executive session minutes. Look for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Approval of expenditures. You have expenditures in the amount of $6,873,412.34. Any questions, comments? If
Move to
not,
approve the expenditures as presented.
Second.
motion and a second. Thank you very much. Will the clerk please pull the board?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you very much. We have one liquor license request this evening from Candace Green. It's for a Class R liquor license. She's a new licensee for those that had the opportunity to visit her establishment the other day. It's very nice. It's over at 17 West Weathersfield Road. Candace, is she on? I can't tell. What do we think? Not sure. May not be here, but it's a Class R. It's basically purpose. She wants to be able to serve. She owns a boutique, a clothing boutique. She wants to be able to offer people a glass of champagne or wine when they enter the establishment and they browse around. So, questions, comments?
I mean, I know we established this liquor license for like the ceramic painting places and some of those where they were going to have an event. And I think we even did it for some beauty shops, if it's an event. I don't think I would have a problem with this if it was an event. You know, there's been things like men's shopping night at the jewelry store, or you know, some special event. But to be able to any day, any of the week, just walk in and while you're browsing at clothes, have wine or champagne, I don't know that I'm very comfortable with that.
Unless they're edible clothing.
So,
Not that kind of
this-
store. I went to the store and I don't think he has edibles.
So the, yeah, as you're aware, so it covers, the current ordinance covers barber shops, cosmetic facilities, beauty shops, arts and crafts studios, jewelry stores, art galleries. And we do have an item later for discussion to talking about modifying the ordinance so we can allow other similar type uses like this, which is what I would consider this,
Yeah.
just basically for.
I mean, and I know we knew we were opening the door for this when we
Right.
allowed those other uses. I don't know, I just,
Is this being done by appointment when they come in and they're going to be, or is this just walking in off the street and serving them a glass?
They would come in off the street just like anyone else, come into the establishment. It's a clothing boutique store.
High end.
No, I was there
High-end,
for
yeah.
the opening, yeah.
It's all high-end.
I don't know that I would say. High end, it's dressy, special occasion clothes. This is not, these are not designer Gucci dresses for, that kind of high end. It's a dressy, dressy, fancy shoes, fancy handbag, fancy, dressy clothes. But I found, because I did go in after, I went into the store and walked around and looked at her merchandise, it's a very reasonably priced, I thought. But again, I'm just not, I don't know that this was our intention.
And I have the same actually concern. I think for the uses that we have in the ordinance, they're more service type uses where people are going to go in, you're going to be in there for a couple of hours.
Yeah, you're sitting down.
Yeah, sitting down, you're going to be doing a painting party with people, or you're going to come in, to a beauty salon, have your hair done and colored and cut and all that, and you're there for a while. But this is really just a retail use, and it would be opening it for any retail use.
I mean, and jewelry stores, the same thing. I suppose any jewelry store could do it. You could walk in, they could hand you something. I think what we were envisioning is you're going to buy the engagement rings, or you're going to buy that special occasion jewelry, and they pull out the bottle of wine and you toast the occasion kind of thing. I'm just not comfortable with it, I don't think, in this type of an atmosphere.
Lance, I believe this is an ordinance that was crafted similar to one in Mount Prospect?
Yes.
Yes. So, it is being done in other communities. I think in general it's harmless. Someone would have to go into the store and they're going to get a glass of wine or champagne, whatever it is they're serving. I don't think I understand the concern, but I just don't think it's that big a deal. Yes, Trustee Madej.
Yeah, we don't even, do they plan on charging for the drink?
They cannot under
No.
the ordinance. It
Oh,
must be
okay.
complimentary.
Okay,
It has, and it's limited to, in the case of wine, which champagne would qualify, they're limited to 3 5-ounce complimentary servings on a single calendar day.
But they would also have to have food available, right?
That's right. They have to have some kind of food available.
She has a
Snacks,
plan.
it can be
Does
snacks.
she have a plan for that? I mean, is there somewhere for her to be able to prepare food in the store?
That is my understanding, yes.
Well, no, I wouldn't say she has someplace she puts in her letter, courtesy hors d'oeuvres and other foods will be accessible during, so I'm thinking she's putting out cheese and crackers or something.
Right, yeah, this particular,
Didn't have a
particular food requirement is not a restaurant requirement. It's
Right.
just simple snacks. The idea is to have something there to soak up the alcohol.
I really would like to have a representative, of this establishment so we can get some questions answered.
Maybe we should defer this and then talk more generally about the ordinance.
Okay, that makes good sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll pick up this conversation later in the agenda. All right, thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. I will ask that it will be read in its entirety. Ask the village clerk to read it in its entirety. Voted on as one motion to approve. If you want to discuss an item for further discussion, please indicate that when the item is read by the village clerk so that it can be removed from the consent agenda and discussed further under committee reports. Otherwise, all items will be approved as presented on the consent agenda in one motion to approve. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Number 1, proclamations. Sewall Diwali Food Donation Project. 2, Engineering and Public Works Committee. The motion would be to approve participation in and authorize the village president and village clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement for supplemental maintenance of Cook County jurisdictional streets with Cook County and approve the required resolution. B, the motion would be to authorize the village president and village clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement for the improvement of Illinois Route 19 at Wise Road, Georgetown Drive, with the Illinois Department of Transportation and approve the required resolution. C, the motion would be to award the ballpark elevator modernization project to Urban Elevator Service of Cicero, Illinois, in the amount of $120,998. D, the motion would be to approve ratification and an increase of halt asphalt mix purchases with Healy Asphalt Company, LLC, of Elk Grove Village, Illinois, in the total amount of $67,727.99. E, the motion would be to award a bid for pressure-reducing valve replacement to the lowest responsible bidder, Dom Mechanical Industries, Inc. of Arlington Heights. Arlington Heights, Illinois, in the amount of $212,888. F, the motion would be to waive competitive bidding and authorize the village manager and village clerk to execute an agreement for the 2020 water main improvements project for the Engineering and Public Works Department building. Design build services with Baxter and Woodman of Crystal Lake, Illinois, in the amount of $82,500, and approve the required resolution. G, the motion would be to refer the discussion of utility company tree trimming guidelines for pruning to the January 19th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting. 3, Finance, Legal, Administrative, and General Government. A, the motion would be to approve the Finance Department monthly report for October 2020. B, the motion would be to approve membership in the Illinois Municipal League and that the membership dues in the amount of $3,500 be paid. C, the motion would be to refer the proposed revisions to the Personnel Manual to the Committee of the Whole. D, the motion would be to accept the for year 2019-20 municipal compliance reports for the Schaumburg Police and Schaumburg Firefighters Fund. E, the motion would be to adopt an ordinance making the Second Amendment to the fiscal year 2020-21 budget. 4, Committee of the Whole. The motion would be to amend the municipal code to reduce the minimum square footage for gaming cafes to 1,500 square feet, eliminate the 300 square foot gaming area limit, and reduce the minimum seating capacity to 20 seats. 5, Public Safety Committee. The motion would be, A, the motion would be to adopt an ordinance amending Title VII, Chapter 79 of the Schaumburg Village Code relating to electric vehicle charging stations. 6, Transportation Committee. The motion would be to authorize the village manager to request that PACE extend the suspension of the trolley service from January 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2021. 7, Plan Commission. The motion would be to approve the 2019 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Consolidate Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, and direct staff to make the necessary submittal to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. 8, Zoning Board of Appeals. The motion would be to approve a rezone from B5 to B2, village initiated for Wildberry Restaurant, Westwood Tavern, 1583 to 1585 North Meacham Road. B, the motion would be to approve a special use for a gymnasium facility and parking variation for Signature Gymnastics Academy, 2246 Palmer Drive, Unit 107. 9, resolutions. And this resolution 063 is incorrect. It should be 095 as the starting number. The motion would be, the motion would be to adopt as resolution R20-095, approving and authorizing the village manager to execute a subrecipient agreement with Little City Foundation. B, the motion would be to adopt as resolution R20-096, authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement for supplemental maintenance of Cook County jurisdictional streets and with Cook County. C, the motion would be to adopt as resolution R20-097, authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement for the improvement of Illinois Route 19 at Wise Road, Georgetown Drive with the Illinois Department of Transportation. D, The motion would be to adopt as Resolution R20-098, authorizing the village manager and village clerk to execute an agreement for the 2020 water main improvement project for the Engineering and Public Works Department building, design, build, services with Baxter Woodman. 10, ordinances. The motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-096, granting a rezone from B5 to B2, village initiated for Wildberry Restaurant, Westwood Tavern, 1383 to 1385 North Meacham Road. B, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-097, granting a special use for gymnasium facility and parking variation for Signature Gymnastics Academy, 2246 Palmer Drive, Unit 107. C, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-098, amending ordinance number 20-086 to correct a scrivener's error in granting a preliminary and final plat of re-subdivision, landscape variations, parking variations, and building setback variations for Woodfield Green, plat number 3, 1400 to 1570 East Gulf Road. D, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-099, authorizing the levy and collection of taxes for the corporate and municipal purposes of the Village of Schaumburg for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2020 and ending April 30th, 2021. E, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-100, making the second amendment to the annual budget for the Village of Schaumburg for the fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2020 and ending April 30th, 2021. F, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-101, amending Title 7, Chapter 79 of the Schaumburg Village Code relating to electric vehicle charging stations. G, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-102, providing for the issuance of not to exceed $220,080,000 general obligation bonds of the Village of Schaumburg, Cook, and DuPage Counties, Illinois, for the purpose of refunding certain of the village's outstanding bonds, providing for the levy of direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on said bonds, authorizing and directing the execution of escrow agreements in connection with the issue of said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to Morgan Stanley and Company, LLC, the purchaser thereof. This concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you, Marilyn. I do want to make one quick note. I'm sure you're all aware of it, but just to be sure, under Committee of the Whole, the changes to the code regarding video gaming cafe regulations does not specifically state anything about zoning board, but it will be reheard there. So, because it is a change to the ordinance. So, any other comments?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Thank you. Got to do that first. Now, clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kozak, Trustee Conlon, Trustee Sullivan, Trustee Dunn, Trustee Deshke.
No nays, motion carried. Thank you. Committee reports. We don't have any particular here for discussion. Comments from the audience? Thank you. Anyone listed in the Zoom call, you'll need to mute yourself, raise a hand, or however, and we'll wait just okay, seeing none, we will move on.
Thank you. There are two substantive items as well as that we do have need for a closed session. There are other business with no need to reconvene. But substantively, I would as I have been during these months, the various gubernatorial motions as well as the village president's emergency motion. A motion to extend the proclamation of a local state of emergency originally made on March 20th until the adjournment of the next meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Move to approve as stated.
Second?
Motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan. Trustee Day. Trustee Bichke.
Next, it is that time of year to the semi-annual review of session minutes to determine when any may be released. The legal department has reviewed all pending minutes that are still closed, and at this point doesn't advise that any should be released, authorized for release. So what I'd ask for is a motion to approve the semi-annual review of closed session minutes, and that no meeting minutes be authorized for release at the time.
Second.
Motion and a second to concur. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madey.
Aye.
Trustee Bichke.
Aye.
And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. President's report. I will mention that we are not going into executive session this evening.
Oh.
Sorry. Should have told you. My fault. President's report, I have, first item is a recommendation for the appointment of Mr. Mike LaRosa to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Patricia Herrera to the Plan Commission, Cindy McCune to the Blood Program Committee, and Shaquille Ahmed to the Board of Health. And of course, that's all pending completion of appropriate documentation and training and everything else that they need to go through. So you should have paperwork for that. Any questions or comments on that?
Well, good candidates.
Motion to approve the appointments.
Second.
So a motion and a second to concur with the appointments. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madey.
Aye.
Trustee Bichke.
Aye.
Great, 6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Okay, so we're back at this item regarding the changes to the ordinance for the BYOB ordinance. Further thoughts, conversation on it?
Well, I think the changes that were listed in the ordinance to add and other similar uses is fine, as long as they're really similar uses, but I don't, as it relates to the earlier topic, I don't necessarily consider a retail use a similar use, so. But I agree with the language and opening it up to say, and similar uses, as long as they're similar uses.
Well, so one legal thing to keep in mind is that the similarity analysis is the job of the liquor commissioner.
I'll say.
Understood.
So,
Well, and I
what-
think that's the problem that I have with it, because it leaves it in the hands of the liquor commissioner. And although on this board, we do have the courtesy review, and we could always comment like we are tonight, but it's not like we have a liquor commission where 3 or 4 people sit down and throw ideas around and make a decision. This lays this in one person's hands. And obviously, the mayor thinks that this is a similar establishment, and some of us don't quite agree.
So are you looking for this to be for establishments that are service-oriented?
I mean, jewelry stores aren't service-oriented, I don't.
so one thing to keep in mind is not the changes being proposed tonight, which are very minor,
Yes.
really. Originally, there were limitations. It did require that there be a limited number of events. And then that was determined that to be too restrictive, or then the question is, how often can someone do this? And so in the end, those were left out as it progressed through its approval process. And right now, the limitations are not insignificant. You can't charge for it, and they're limited to 3 servings of wine or beer per calendar day.
per
Okay.
person.
Question about that.
Just so you're aware, we do have the owner of the business is logged in, bottom
see
right.
that, yeah.
Okay, so we'll ask her for comments in a minute. Go ahead.
When you say 3 servings a day, does that mean 3 servings, for potentially 3 servings for 3 people? Or only a total of 3 servings for, either 1 each, or somebody, some person gets 2 and another person gets 1?
No, it's per patron.
Okay, so each patron could conceivably get 3 servings of whatever.
3 5-ounce servings of wine or 3 12-ounce servings of beer. The way it's drafted, the way it exists now.
'Cause I think we were thinking, George, this is a painting party, or this is a bridal party who's at the beauty salon and everybody's getting facials and nails and hair and all that, and they're there for 3 or 4 hours. We didn't want them just to be able to drink all night, so we said 3 servings, but you could walk in and have 3 servings, bang, bang, bang.
And not
there's
buy
nothing that
anything and
goes-
walk out.
Yeah, not buy anything and walk out, yeah. But I think that's why we said 3 servings, to give some limits, but generous enough that if you were there from, 8 to 11 or something, I don't know.
Okay.
Is this something that's going to be, the vendor is going to publicize and stuff like that, where anybody can just walk off the street, they see it, that they're going to have the event and free, where they get massive crowd, not massive crowds, but I mean, large crowds, I mean,
No, this is
I
not an
really
event.
I really don't think that's the case here, Frank. We do have the petitioner, the person who is looking to do this on the Zoom call, Ms. Candace Green. We can certainly have her unmute and ask her some questions if you want to get more comfortable. So, Jack, can you do that for us? So, Ms. Green, we're going to want you to describe what the purpose of having the ability to serve wine or champagne or beer to someone who comes to your establishment. So there you go. You're unmuted now. So if you can give us kind of just a quick explanation, that would be helpful for the board.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, good evening, board. Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the platform to explain what I'm trying to do with Indace. Just to tell you a little bit about the business, we are operating as a luxury woman's boutique. So the thought process behind it is that I offer affordable apparel, a very upscale ambiance to our clientele, and we want it similar to an experience that you would get at like a luxury Louis Vuitton or Chanel, where when you come in, it's a hospitable environment. You're welcomed by the staff, and when you're shopping, you have the opportunity to what they would call a sip and shop. It wouldn't be a matter of people coming in off the street, hey, let's just drink, and so on and so forth. Something very upscale to make the patron feel more welcome and to have a luxury experience that they may not be able to have in a store like a Louis Vuitton, spending thousands of dollars. They can receive that experience at an affordable price and have the overall luxury feel. That's the idea behind it.
So, I think it's a very reasonable request. I mean, I think she points out that it's not something that, you're going to get a bunch of people coming in off the street. It's someone, it's something extra she wants to be able to serve for her clientele, and I don't think that's unreasonable. We're getting, this whole pandemic has caused all sorts of different changes and conversations about how we're doing business and how business is going to change. And again, I think it's reasonable. I understand your concern, Marge, about just putting in here something that seems kind of broad in the ordinance, but at the same time, anyone who's new comes before the board to get discussed, and we can have conversation at that time. I think that's appropriate to do. So I would encourage you to agree to the changes and go forward. Other questions? Anyone have a question for Ms. Green?
Yes.
I actually just
Yes.
have a question that I just thought of as you're explaining, because you brought up the pandemic and how things are changing, but with the current situation of the recommendation to not have indoor dining or indoor beverage services, how would that affect an establishment like this, or even a painting party, or a hair salon that has one of these licenses from serving alcohol and food, indoors during this? I mean, would we expect them to follow the guidelines like we expect everybody else to follow the guidelines? Or?
Yeah, based upon the establishment is what guidelines they have to follow, so. Excuse me. This is not a restaurant. This is just it's a boutique clothing store, and so she's got to follow whatever the ordinance or whatever the guidelines are that are set forth for that. So she can certainly, at this point, if we allow her, be able to serve alcohol. Mark, did you have, no?
Yeah, I mean, hearing from the establishment on the type of business, I don't have an issue with the request on its own. I think that the ordinance itself, I'm not quite sure how we would describe similarities. Again, I know we do have the ability to listen to requests on the board here and to discuss it before it goes to the Liquor Commission's office. But I don't know, I just think the ordinance verbiage is missing something there.
Okay, Trustee Dunham?
I'm uncomfortable with 3 servings per person. And I'm curious, and I asked the village manager about whether the people working here were going to have Bassett training, and he tells me no.
I thought that was in the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance?
Yeah.
they have.
All right, then I missed it.
And we've covered the servings. I mean, this is just an update to this,
all
so.
employees of the licensee serving alcohol must have successfully completed online Bassett certification. So-
Online, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's online.
So regarding
and that's in there, that's not a change.
amount of servings, that was already discussed prior when this ordinance was originally passed, so certainly we can bring it up again and go through it, but I mean, if there's a way of changing the wording, I have no problem changing the wording to indicate boutique establishments. If we want to just add that and deal with items as they come up individually, I'm okay with that. So if everybody's comfortable with that, I mean, is that okay?
So, I'm sorry, to what
So
establishments?
boutique establishments, small boutique establishments?
I mean, if we're going to allow it, I think we're going to allow it. What if the car dealer wants to do this? What if the Cadillac dealer?
Oh,
the
I wouldn't be
Lincoln dealer-
surprised that if eventually we're going to get more that are
You're
gonna come in.
buying one of those big cars and.
Then if we do it that way, then we
Give you a
allow,
glass of champagne, I mean.
right.
Yeah, so one of the things, so the language I suggested, because the mayor pointed out, well, we have this list here, and it's got to be on the list, and I can think of some uses that are very close to this, that then I can't issue. And so I suggested this language, because this, when you interpret a list of things, they create their sort of own definition of like but so the way that this was described, this particular clothing establishment did not seem like someone going into Walmart into the clothing area and handed a glass of wine. It seemed like a smaller, more of a service-oriented retail, and so that would be up to the mayor, though, as the commissioner, to determine, and potentially could even place limitations by saying, well, in general today, he have the ability to sort of limit it to some degree, depending on the use, but it could be changed, though, the language, to make everyone more comfortable. Just have to figure out what that comfort level is.
I think we could give it a try and then just see how it goes. I mean, there's lots of places, the fur salon at Macy's may want this, or there's probably places like that that are frankly doing it today and we're not aware of it. This would require them to have a license and we would know about it.
True. Other questions, comments? So what's the order? You want to leave the wording alone? You want to have the wording changed? I'm open to suggestions here. And if not, then we'll look for a motion.
And if there were a motion, it would be to accept the recommendation as listed in item 2 and waive first reading and approve as ordinance number 20-103, amending Title 11, Chapter 112, Section 112.14 of the Schaumburg Village Code relative to BYOB complimentary service liquor licenses.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
There's a second. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Nay.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Bishki.
Aye.
5 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. For Ms. Green, just so you're aware, you'll be able to come into the Liquor Commissioner's office, which also is the Village President's office upstairs, anytime starting tomorrow, and apply for the license for the establishment. So, and after you've passed any kind of background checks, et cetera, that need to occur, a license will be issued.
Very well. Thank you, Board. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Manager's report.
I just have a couple of quick items I'd like to mention. First of all, I'd like to extend commendations to Mike Hall and the Engineering and Public Works Department for the efforts that the department made this year to keep Schaumburg looking festive during the holiday season. We've received a number of compliments already about the lights here at the Municipal Center, at our gateways throughout the community, and also at Town Square. So, Mike, thanks to you and your staff for your efforts in that regard. I'd also like to take this opportunity at the last meeting of the year to wish happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all the members of the board, village clerk, Lance, and also our guests here in the audience, and all members of the Schaumburg community. And I hope this year, more so than in the past, people are able to enjoy a happy and festive holiday with their family, even though we're being encouraged to limit the size of our gatherings accordingly. And finally, as we continue to deal with the economic toll of the pandemic, I just want to remind everybody to take up Mayor Larson's encouragement from past years, and that is to shop in Schaumburg. So,
Buy a car, he used to tell people, or a suit.
that's right. So happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good, yeah. New business. We don't have any. No unfinished business. Trustee comments and mentions? Hearing none. Adjournment. We do not have executive session as listed, just a reminder again, so we will be adjourning for the evening.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Will the clerk please call a roll?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Bishki.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.